welcome back to another episode of Polite as Fuck. It is very weird that I'm doing the intro. It's also very weird that I am sitting here talking to myself and just having a little echo chamber because Ellie is sick and we pushed this episode back as far as we could, recording it, but she's coughing a lot and I just not feeling great, and we don't think it would be a great sounding episode. I also don't know if she'd really feel great sitting here for the 40 minutes that we take to record. So it's May. This is probably going to be a quick one. We have been recording this podcast now since August of 2022, which is crazy. And we have never missed a day in the recording. As I'm saying August, I think we started planning the podcast in August, and maybe our first episode came out in October. Regardless, we have put out an episode every Wednesday since then, so almost 4 years, and we are not going to let this week, the last week in April, be the one that we miss. So if you have Ellie's number or want to message her on Instagram, wishing her well, I hope by next week we have updates for you on what the heck happened and the topic we wanted to talk about. We will share, but since it's just me talking to myself, literally looking at myself in this camera, I put together a few notes on things, and I think something that I am very passionate about is career. As a woman who has been in the workforce since I was 16, I mean, I got a job the moment that I could. My first job was at Marshall's, shout out. Worked there summer I was 16, and I just went and looked back at my LinkedIn because I have like every career on there or job on there that I've ever had, and there's been 19. That does include internships in college, but 19 different jobs. And as you guys know, I just turned 30, so I have experience doing a lot of different things, working in retail, working in restaurants, working at Beach Patrol, lifeguard, restaurant franchises, fitness franchises, coaching, working in tech, a lot of different tech, project management, freight, workforce management, finance. So it's been really fun. I wouldn't change a thing, honestly. I think that these different jobs have brought me a lot of different skills, and had I stayed in any of them, it would have been because I felt like I was still learning and because I enjoyed it. But one thing that I did want to talk about relating to career, and this is just like, if you're feeling like your job isn't working, you're miserable, you don't enjoy it, I had this revelation in talking with my mom when she was here, about staying in a job that isn't working is like staying in a relationship that isn't working. Because if you've listened to my dating episode, I've also been on a lot of dates, and I've dated a lot of different people. I might not have had a lot of serious relationships, but the intent in the dating was to find a serious relationship, and the reason I didn't continue to pursue those is because they weren't working. And the few relationships that I have had up until the one that I'm in now, I stayed in way too long. And obviously hindsight 2020, I think I thought that I could change the person, or that I could make up for the things that I felt like they were lacking. And looking at this from a career point of view, I have done the same things in work as well. Thinking that I can pick up all the slack, work harder, work more, take on a bunch of different responsibilities that aren't mine in order to stay at a job or to try and make more money or whatever it is. And hopefully this point gets across in some capacity, but if you haven't realized already, you can't change someone. And if you don't love them despite those maybe flaws that you see in them, then it's not gonna work. And same thing with a job. I think there will never be a job that checks all the boxes. There's going to be things that don't work, that frustrate you, that you feel like are missing. But that's where like relationship skills come into play. Communicating those issues, speaking up for yourself, setting boundaries, etc., etc. But like ultimately, it's up to you to decide, do you love this job enough to stick with it? Like, do the pros outweigh the cons? Are the flaws things that you can work past or that you can compromise on? Or are they things that you ultimately like can't change or don't want it, like they're make or break for you? And granted, a career is very different from a relationship in a lot of ways too. Like, you do want your career to bring you different satisfaction and fulfillment, and there are certain things that like you can get outside of work that maybe check those boxes that a job isn't. So that is different from a relationship, but hopefully the parallels make sense, because just speaking from, I think we've talked about it on the podcast before, one of my first jobs when I moved to San Diego, I learned a ton, and I was given a lot of opportunities to kind of step up and take on different responsibilities. But I also was very like meek, and I asked for permission for a lot of things, and this was also the culture, so I don't fully blame myself here, but it's a skill that I've since learned. I think that being meek at work is lame. I think that there's a difference between humility and meekness in my mind, and you can be really good at your job and not brag about it, not be the person that's like, oh, look what I did, not give credit to other people. But when someone hires you for a role, they're hiring you because they think that you can do the job that they're asking. So when you come into a position and are really like timid, you're asking permission for a lot of things. There's a difference between like asking for clarity, if you don't know how to do something, if you want to make sure you're following the right process, versus just like doubting yourself and not taking ownership for the job that you were hired to do, because you do know what you're doing and you do have the experience. There's also a lot that can be learned from failure, from just trying something, and whether it works or not, like, you learn from that. So I would much rather, and granted this is me now, not early on in my career, I would much rather ask for forgiveness or own up to something that didn't work than to ask for permission to maybe an idea I have never get pushed because there are too many hurdles to jump through, because I decided to open the can of worms that is, what do you think of this? And I'm realizing as I say this too, it's also hard to like have a conversation with yourself, but there are benefits to asking for people's perspective and to being like, hey, I created this campaign or whatever it is. Can I get your thoughts on it? Because maybe that will make it better. But in that example, it's like you took the initiative to create this campaign, to make this brief, to prep things, and you're ready to go, and you just want like a sounding board instead of, I have this idea. Is it a good idea? Should I do this idea? What would be the process for this? As someone who's managed people and managed other agencies, it's like when someone is proactive or does 90% of the work and makes it really easy for you to just review or give a few pointers or, you know, just sign off on it, it's like, then that's things gonna happen, instead of, oh, now you're just adding a lot more work onto my plate because of this idea you want to do, and unless you step up and do the things that it requires, it's not going to happen. I'm trying to keep it vague just because I know not everyone works in tech and or in marketing, so I apply it as you will to like whatever your profession is. But yeah, overall, meekness is lame. Don't stay in a job that isn't working for you. If you've tried all the things, if you've spoken up, if you've pushed to make change, if you've compromised on things that can be compromised on, if you've set boundaries and it's not working, it's like, cut your losses. There's this thing my old boss at my last company said a lot about, the sunk cost fallacy. And it's this idea that like you've already put so much time and effort into something that you have to finish it. But that's not true. It's just this feeling of like, I did all of this, I put time, I put energy, we spent money on it, like we have to do it. And we already kind of see that what the outcome is, instead of, it would be better to just cut our losses now and work on something different. If we have a better idea, if we know that something else would be more beneficial, like let's pivot now and do that now and move on. And I think that can be applied to a lot of things. It's something I keep in mind in my life, because I can become attached to ideas or to people or to things that I don't like giving up on, and I want them to work. But having been laid off now twice, it also is kind of like this forced thing of like, in the end, it didn't matter as much as I thought it did. And like, yeah, it sucked. I don't wish unemployment upon anyone unless it's by choice. Like, I came out so much better on the other side. You get different perspective. You get to step away and like really ponder what it is that you want to do, what matters to you. And every company I've worked for has been so different from the last that it's like I see things that really are important to me, or things that I thought were important, and then they existed and they actually don't matter to me as much as I thought they did. So yeah, don't be afraid to try different companies and to quit or to step away, or to say no to things. Like, it is very hard to set boundaries when you've already, like allowed certain behaviors to happen, but it's not impossible. My other 2 notes that I had were just to ask questions and to speak up for yourself. I am a big proponent of advocating for yourself for a raise, coming with proof, documenting your achievements. The company I work for right now, it's massive, but it's very disorganized in how projects are tracked, and it's a lot of things happening in Slack or via email or just said verbally in an email, and I'm putting everything into a project tracker. And so if someone came to me and was like, what did you spend all your day doing or your week doing, I could point to all the work that I've done. And it's not just like, oh, what have I done? What have I been working on? How can I show you this? I think you have to be your biggest advocate, because even as a manager who has cared about the people that I've managed, I don't have the time or capacity to track everything and to document and to make sure oh, they launched this campaign and it was really successful. That's on them to come to our meetings with those results and advocate for themselves. And obviously, if you have performance reviews, that's a great time. And you would hope that your manager would speak up for you in those reviews, and that you would have feedback throughout the year that you can point to, but don't count on it always. And then the last thing I had was do more with less. This is relating more to your life. I think a big takeaway I've had is I had a career, or I had a job where I was making a lot of money, more money than I'm making now or have made in the last few years. And I was miserable. And I'm not saying money is the root of all evil, but I think the trade-offs for what that came, it cost me so much of my life, of my time, of my energy. And I think when I was unemployed, one, you have a lot of time, but you also get really creative in what you can do with no money, with less money. And I feel like I did so much more with my time during that time. And then starting a new job again, I try and apply that to my time. Like, how can I maximize my day? It's something my therapist has also talked to me about, of like, I can get a lot done in 3 hours of very focused work. Just because I need to work 8 hours in a day doesn't mean that I have to not do anything else with my time, even though I got all my work done in 3 hours, or that I need to take on more work because I might work faster than other people. But learning to take breaks, learning to go on walks, learning to, step away from my computer. And I get that that's not always applicable, like if you're a nurse or something else, but maximizing the time you have, or maximizing your budget, or not necessarily feeling this need that like you need more work in order to grow your career, or you need more money in order to have a better life. I think it's do more with what you have now and try and build your dream life now, so that when those things do come, it's an added bonus, and you maybe know how to spend that extra money better. Lifestyle creep is a real thing. I've looked at my budget over the years, and like when I was making a ton of money, I was spending it on silly things because I could, and because I didn't really like know what else to spend it on. And I would change a lot if I had that salary now, just because of like the way that I've adjusted my lifestyle. But it's hard when you don't have those skills or traits, or don't have that perspective. So if I can impart any wisdom onto you, it would be these things. If you're struggling with figuring out what to do in your career, or what you care about, or how to ask for a raise, or how to apply for a job, or how to network, I am an open door. I'm not on social media, but if you have my number or know someone who does, feel free to reach out. Because I said networking, now I have to share this other thought. Having been unemployed, the jobs that I've gotten, or that I've been introed to, the best ones have come from networking. I guess I should say like the most promising ones, because I've applied to a lot of jobs. I've reached out on LinkedIn to a lot of people, and the reaching out does help, but 9 times out of 10 people don't respond, and I have a ton of thoughts on that and just how crappy that is. But if you know someone, or like look at connections that you have on LinkedIn and look at their connections and ask for intros and ask to be referred to things. Or if someone worked at a company prior that you liked, or that you like and want to work at, ask them for an intro, assuming they didn't leave on bad terms. Like, they don't need to work there currently, I think, for you to still be referred in. Unfortunately, I learned this lesson really late, in that working harder doesn't always mean opportunities, and really it is like a people's game. As much as I hate that, it's like I don't want to schmooze or hang out with people that I don't like, but I also don't want to miss opportunities because other people are being friendly, going to the happy hours, making conversation, and it's much better to have that rapport already when you need to ask for a favor. And I know that seems a little like slimy, but I think that's just the way that the world works. And genuinely caring about people, or maybe you don't even need to genuinely care about them, honestly, but just like being kind and not burning bridges. That, trust me, there's a lot of people that I have crossed me, or that I think, anyway, I won't go down that rabbit hole, but like there's a lot of people that I would have or could have burned a bridge with, and I haven't, and it's honestly saved me in some situations, or they've turned out to be like really helpful for me in the job hunt. So you never know. Doesn't mean they need to be your best friend, or that you need to talk to them all the time. But all right, I think I just talked for like 20 minutes straight. And those are my thoughts on career. And I'm really hopeful that Ellie's going to get better and that I will never have to do this again. But appreciate your support. Polite as Fuck podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. Hopefully you're having a great career journey. If not, it's almost a new season. Summer's right around the corner. Nothing like change before summer. Just be free. Or if you have it in the bank, honestly, a free summer without working, let's bring back summer vacation. That sounds nice. Anyways, love you guys. Have a great week. And Ellie and I will see you next week. Bye.